So what paper do you use? This is Marie Steffenson. Thank you for joining me. That's a great question, and I have not found the answer. I continue to be looking and studying and trying as many papers as absolutely possible. I have not found one that I like. I am actually appreciating the cellulose papers over the cotton papers because of the evaporation, and I find that very helpful. I know historically, and when you look at writing, that the person writing the book or the teacher will advise one or two brands, I think 3 now in the world that are being recommended. One historically that has always been recommended, and then 2 more are breaking in. I, however, am continuing to try to explore as many papers as possible. I'd be interested if you guys have found any interesting papers that are helpful for you, right? Yupo, handmade, papers from all around the world. I even found some in Africa that were really interesting. A common question that's often asked is, what paints do you use? What colors do you use? And this is one, I'm flexible on paintbrushes, I'm flexible on paper, but I have found that quality of paints was the first area that was most important for me. And this is where I budgeted and prioritized. And I am a brand ambassador for Daniel Smith because even before I was a brand ambassador, I absolutely believed they are the best watercolor producers in the world. They have surpassed all the other brands, and I appreciate the granulation, and I appreciate the single pigment nature of so many of their colors. They don't just have mixes, but they have single pigments. So when you go to set up your palette, what paints do you use? Now, I recommend and have found over my experience of painting, and I hope to keep growing and changing and learning about this also, but I found a limited palette is very good. Now, by a limited palette, I do not mean 3 colors or 6 colors that you only use forever. What I recommend is 3 to 6 or slightly more colors that you use for that painting or for that cluster of paintings. And then over time, you can adjust and grow and swap new ones in and swap new ones out. And I have found that it's also very good to have limited palettes in different categories. So what you actually do when you work on your limited palette is you actually look at what you're painting and you say, what limited palette do I need? What are the colors I need? Sometimes I don't need to be able to make a purple or a green or an orange, and that gives me a lot more flexibility of how I choose the primaries. Other times I look at and say, I want colors that are lifting, and you choose colors based on that. Or I want colors that are granulating, and you choose colors based on that. A question that's often asked is, what paintbrush do you use? And I'm gonna admit it now, I have been exploring paintbrushes for 20 years, and I have found many that I do not like, and I have found many that I do love. And I found that I'm exploring. I'm just looking at all of them and enjoying all of them. I have found some odd ones, and I've been collecting them again for over 25 years. And it's interesting that you can see some affordable paints, some affordable paintbrushes are very good, and I've also found some expensive ones that were mediocre. I also really appreciate looking through and finding paintbrushes in unusual or unexpected situations and contexts. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for participating, and I hope that you have all joy in your creative journey.